Hello, everyone. The purpose of this brief video is to provide somewhat of an understanding of the expectations of the final exam, as well as the final project, as well as some final summative course thoughts moving forward in the next week or so here. So with that, what I'm going to do is share my screen and go ahead and we'll take a look at our uh, Canvas materials here for week 8. And in particular, you'll see that this session will be recorded right in here. But you'll notice that there'll be a brief overview of the week here where we will be working on some of the highlights of sentiment analysis. I left a few videos up here from a prior term that dealt with the data that I was collecting for the sentiment analysis, so you want to look at those. But specifically speaking, did want to highlight for this video, what do you need to be aware of for the final exam? So if we talk that first, and we'll look at the final project. I do have up here an exam preparation study guide. So if you were to open up that exam study guide, it will look something similar to this. So the exam itself, you can use your notes on that, that's fine. But I categorized it, broke everything down into different topics under different headings. For instance, reference frameworks, different types of surfaces, mainly focusing on PLSS and things like that. You'll also find another heading classified as surveying fundamentals, which we've had a chance to work with some already captured data in the form of the total station and whatnot. But azimuth, Z, again, don't confuse that with elevation in this case. But the difference between azimuth and bearing, being able to convert between those two. So as well as general definitions, things like that, procedures, how do you take a reading? If there's a scenario set up for you, how could you best take a reading based off the information that was provided? So you want to go back into maybe week 4 and start to check out some of those procedural things that we looked at in the handout from our real-time face-to-face session on that Saturday. That will help you with some of that particular content. And just some general conversion types of things here as well. Might be some trigonometry principles to look at and how we calculate angles. So again, we'll refer back to some of the week 4 materials with that. Also some topographic mapping associated with our labs throughout the course. Understanding what contours are, how do contours V upstream, what does that mean when that happens? We worked a bit with COGO. In the exam, I'm not going to give you something to say, okay, take this data and input it into ArcGIS Pro. That's not the idea, nor do we really have time for a lot of that because we demonstrated that in the lab. The purpose here is to highlight the big picture items that we were able to go through in class, and hopefully you can make some sense out of that. So that's the purpose of the exam, is really more of a learning affirmation, and you can use your notes on that. So no problem with that. But the lion's share of the exam may focus on GPS or GNSS. GNSS, of course, being the expansion of the US-based GPS system. But here are some general highlight items, some questions, some different bullet points to focus on. Now, again, I wouldn't worry so much about memorizing these things. These are just some key categories that can help you become more familiar with terms, with the idea that can organize your thought process, when you're going through the exam. The exam is not timed or anything like that, so you could take your time, but this is, again, more of a learning affirmation. I'm more interested in you reflecting as you take this exam rather than having a high stakes, high anxiety type of a situation here. So organize thoughts in your mind and let that guide your journey for the exam. So in any event, the exam preparation guide is out there for you. When you're ready to take the exam, simply select this link right here to begin the final exam, again, worth 50 points. And from that, you'll be able to go in and enter into the exam and enter your material and whatnot. I would like to encourage folks to maybe save as a backup on a Word file or something like that, MS Word, just in case Canvas crashes or you lose your internet or something. If there's an essay type of a situation, or a sketch or something like that that you could take a picture with your phone and upload as a document or something. Just have a backup in case Canvas does go down for whatever reason. So did want to highlight that. Lastly, or second to last, I did want to highlight a bit about the final project. So here underneath the final project, you'll see the final project assignment, the general guidelines that we went through back in week 4. We talked about sporadically throughout the course, but here's the final project link where you can upload your papers. You'll also find a key description of that for what your final project paper might entail. Again, this shouldn't be too unfamiliar to you, but an introduction, what are your methodologies? What did you find? And a discussion. So the final project is less about making sure the data is perfect. And I think it's more about embracing how things were imperfect and what you learn from that process. So you'll have a purpose, you'll have a design to collect that data. The whole experience of this will be in the discussion about how things didn't work. And if they did work, that's great. You want to highlight those. But I'm anticipating that most of the learning here will really be about what didn't happen, what didn't work like you expected. More importantly, what would you do now that you've learned that? So it's a good mentality to have in that overall final project write-up. Also, as part of that, if you do happen to work with a group or whatnot, just submit one paper per group if you are in a group, and just let me know who your group members are if you could, please. That would also correspond as well to the final presentation. So for the brief presentation, 5 minutes is fine. Following the same general process, just give a little highlights, a fun way to snapshot, record those videos, and we can always share those out later at a later date if we can too. But if you do have any questions about how to use Panopto, Panopto will be located right here in the left-hand ribbon of our Canvas environment. This is a faculty prepared tutorial that you can review in case you have any questions on how to upload and or record a student video. You can look at that. Otherwise, inside of Panopto itself, there are some tutorial guides in there to help you. And your third option, of course, is to reach out, let me know if you have any challenges so that I can help you in that process. Okay, so that essentially takes care of our exam as well as our final project information. You notice that there also is a quiz 5 as well as activity assignment number 8 dealing with that sentiment analysis. As we noted, you'll see that there are some due dates posted in here for each one of our last remaining items for the course. These will correspond to due dates provided in your syllabus as well. Most of these will mark the 25th, so the end of Sunday night, basically. However, please reach out if you are struggling and or might want to engage with me in conversation about if you do need a little bit of extra time. More than willing to work with you on that. I know some people like firm deadlines on things. That's great. If you're that person, the 25th is what we're after. However, again, don't be afraid to reach out to me so that I can help you if you're struggling with something or something happened where you got behind a little bit from life. Just reach out to me so that I can help you out in that process. So otherwise, with that being said, I'd like to sincerely express my gratitude and my appreciation to everything that you've given to the course. I've seen some things that folks were doing in this course I haven't seen before, even last year when we were online. So that's a really cool hats off to you. I know there's a lot of different environments where you can scale data, scale assignments, scale labs. And I was happy to see people working within those varieties of scales or scale to help you learn or help you balance your schedules and whatnot. So please also note and keep in mind that as we move forward, we should be slowly trickling in our digital badging too. So look for email and information to be coming hopefully soon, as this course would be part of the GS certificate as well that you can receive a digital badge for. And always remember, market yourself. Use LinkedIn, develop your networks. Well, you don't have to use exclusively LinkedIn, but market yourself. brand yourself at this stage. That's what's really important for you moving forward. So in any event, it was a wonderful course. Thank you all. Again, keep in touch and have a good rest of the spring.